So I decided to sell my Harley today.
I'm not going back to Harley-Davidson ever again. Ever. That was the love and hate, bittersweet relationship.
I'm going to talk about the glories of owning a Harley-Davidson, working on your own shit, and how shitty Harley dealers are, and how a problem they could cause could haunt you for years to come.
Lifelong Harley riders are selling bikes they swore they buried on, and everybody thinks they know the reason. They don't. It isn't the price. I checked, and the numbers are going to genuinely surprise you, because the gap between a new Harley and its Japanese rival is about $300. Something else is driving this. And it doesn't show up until year 4.
If you're looking for speed, Harley is not what you're looking for. You can go buy, I found this out last year at Bike Week, and it was actually pretty disheartening as a Harley guy. So we were kind of walking through and just looking at everything, and my buddy Kevin is like a previous street bike dork, so he knows a little bit more about that shit. We're in the Suzuki 10, I think, and it's called like the H2 or whatever. It's the fastest production motorcycle you can buy on planet Earth. And it was like, I want to say it was 21,000 or 22,000 for a brand new one. And we went to the Harley one, and to get like the newest model of fucking Sportster is like $22,000 for a 1200 or whatever the fuck the Revolutions are or whatever. And it's like,
yeah,
the fastest, most engineered motorcycle in the world that you can buy, production motorcycle, is the same price as a fucking Sportster.
So let's start by killing the thing everybody says first, because it's wrong and it's been repeated so many times that people stop checking. The story you always hear is that riders are leaving Harley because Harleys cost too much. Cheap Japanese bike, expensive American bike, end of story. Here are the actual 2026 numbers. A Harley-Davidson Nightster is $9,999. A Honda Rebel 1100 is $9,699. $300 apart on a $10,000 purchase. That's 3%. Nobody sells a motorcycle they love over 3%. And it gets worse for the price theory. A Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Classic is $9,599. A Suzuki Boulevard C50 is $9,299. A Yamaha Bolt R-Spec is $8,999. And an Indian Scout 60 Bobber is $9,999. Exactly the same as the Harley. That entire segment lives inside a $1,000 band. So at the entry point of the cruiser market, the price argument basically evaporates. Now hold on, because I want to make this worse before I make it better. Look at what you actually get on that Nightster for your 10 grand. ABS, traction control, drag torque slip control, a Revolution Max engine with variable valve timing on the intake side, rear monoshock. Now look at what you get on the Japanese cruisers at that price. The Bolt, the Vulcan 900, the Boulevard. All of them are older platforms, all analog. Most of them don't even have ABS. The Boulevard still runs a drum brake at the back. So on a spec sheet, at that price, the Harley wins. Not by a little. It wins on safety equipment, and safety equipment is the one category where nobody argues about taste. Which means we have a real problem to solve here. Because riders are leaving anyway.
Flashier, the price tag shot through the roof, the quality. Ask any rider who's put serious miles down. They'll tell you what changed. Harley used to stand for freedom, rebellion, and unity. Now it feels like a boardroom chasing a trend it doesn't even understand. But here's the
And I don't mean the vague answer. I don't mean Japanese bikes are more reliable, because everybody says that and it's a slogan, not a number. I wanted the number. So let me give you the number. And it's the largest independent survey of motorcycle owners ever conducted in this country. Consumer Reports surveyed over 11,000 motorcycle owners about unscheduled repairs, not opinions, repairs, things that actually broke and had to be fixed outside of normal service. Yamaha came in at 11%, Honda 12%. The industry average across all brands was 24%. Harley-Davidson came in at around 25%. Now sit with the shape of that. Roughly 1 in 4 Harley owners had an unscheduled repair in a 12-month window. Roughly 1 in 9 Yamaha owners did. And before anybody types it, yes, Harley was not the worst. Ducati came in around 30%. BMW and Triumph were worse again. Harley sits mid-pack, roughly at the industry average. That's the honest read. and I'm not going to inflate it. But mid-pack isn't the comparison that matters. The comparison that matters is the one the rider is actually standing in front of at the dealership. And against Honda and Yamaha specifically, the gap is more than double. That's the number. That's where the switch is actually coming from. And here's why it takes years to show up. When the bike is new, none of this exists. Warranty covers it. The dealership is friendly. You love the thing. Year 1 and year 2 are fantastic on almost any motorcycle. The switch happens somewhere in year 4. It happens the third time you're standing at a service counter for something that wasn't on the maintenance schedule. It happens when the friendly dealer relationship becomes an appointment 3 weeks out. Nobody wakes up and decides to leave a brand. They just get tired. Alright, do me a favor. Go pull your service records right now. However you keep them. Folder, shoebox, glovebox, phone. Count the visits that were not scheduled maintenance. Not oil changes, not the 1,000-mile service. Things that broke. Count them and put the number in the comments with your year and model, because I want to see whether that 1 in 4 figure holds up against this audience specifically. And if you've got a bike with 0, I especially want to hear that, because the guys with clean records never speak up, and they should. And if you want more of this kind of thing, subscribe. That's the whole ask. I'm not going to do a whole bit about it. Now here's where this story gets genuinely funny. And I mean that, because the punchline has been sitting in plain sight for over a decade. I mentioned the Yamaha Bolt earlier. $8,999. Japanese, reliable, simple, belt drive, real V-twin pulse. Do you know what the Bolt is? It's a Sportster. Not literally, obviously. But Yamaha designed that bike to be a Sportster. The proportions, the stance, the belt drive, the whole attitude of the thing, it exists because Harley made something people wanted, and Yamaha decided to build a version of it that doesn't break as often. So think about what's actually happening when a guy sells his Sportster and buys a Bolt. He's not rejecting the design, he loved the design. He's buying the exact same design from a company he trusts to keep it running. That is the single most important thing in this entire video, so let me say it clearly. Riders are not leaving Harley because they stopped wanting a Harley. They're leaving because they stopped wanting the ownership experience that comes attached to one. Those are completely different problems, and only one of them can be fixed with a marketing campaign. Now let's talk about that ownership experience, because it got significantly worse in the last few years and it happened quietly. Start with where you get the thing serviced. Harley dealerships have been closing across the country. Dudley Perkins in San Francisco, open since 1914, 110 years, gone. New York Harley-Davidson, gone. High Country Harley, closed both its Colorado and Wyoming stores at once after 25 years. Kewanee, Illinois, Titusville, Florida. Stores gone in Ohio, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, which is the company's own home state. Now compare that to a Honda or a Yamaha. Those bikes are serviced by essentially every independent shop in North America. You're not hunting for a specialist. You're not driving 90 minutes past a closed building. Then, look at what the repair costs when it happens. And this is the part people underestimate. A reliable bike that occasionally needs a part is worth far more than a reliable bike where the part costs $800 and takes 3 weeks to ship. The Japanese manufacturers win on both metrics at once. Fewer failures and cheaper and faster to fix when there is one. And this is happening in a labor market that's working against you no matter what you ride. Motorcycle shops are billing somewhere between $130 and $200 an hour right now. The industry needs to replace roughly 70,000 technicians a year just to cover retirements. Veteran techs are aging out faster than anyone is training replacements. So every single unscheduled repair costs more, takes longer, and is harder to get scheduled than it was 5 years ago. Which means that 25% versus 11% gap doesn't just stay a gap. It compounds. It multiplies against rising labor rates and shrinking service capacity every year you own the bike. Now I want to turn this completely around, because there's a piece of that same Consumer Reports research that almost nobody quotes, and it undercuts half of what I just told you. Reliability and satisfaction are two different measurements, and they do not track together. Harley owners consistently report high satisfaction with their motorcycles despite having more problems than Japanese owners. Not lower, higher, relative to the trouble they put up with. Read that again, because it's strange and it's real. People who deal with more repairs are still happier with the machine. That tells you something the spec sheets can't. What Harley sells is not measured in unscheduled repair percentages. It's the sound. It's the weight of the thing at a stoplight. It's walking out of a gas station and finding somebody standing next to your bike who wants to talk about it. You do not get that on a Rebel 1100. The Rebel is, by essentially every objective measure, the better value. Bigger engine than the Bolt or the Vulcan. TFT display, cruise control standard, optional automatic gearbox, all for $9,699. It is a genuinely excellent motorcycle, and it is the smart buy. Nobody has ever cried selling one. And that's the actual tension in this whole story. Riders aren't choosing between a good bike and a bad bike. They're choosing between a machine that makes them feel something and a machine that doesn't make them feel anything on a Tuesday morning when it's time to go to work. Some of them are picking the Tuesday morning. That's not betrayal. That's just being 45 with a mortgage. Here's the other thing about Japanese bikes that gets glossed over, and it's not all good news for the switchers either. Those older Japanese cruisers, the Bolt, the Vulcan 900, the Boulevard, are simple, proven, and cheap to maintain, precisely because they are old designs that haven't been meaningfully updated. That's the trade. You get bulletproof mechanicals, and you give up modern safety equipment. No ABS on most of them, analog everything. So if you're switching purely on reliability numbers, and you land on one of those, understand, you just traded a traction control system and an anti-lock brake for a lower repair rate. That might be the right call for you. But it is a trade, and the guys who tell you it's a free upgrade are not being straight with you. And there's one more thing that nobody mentions until it's too late. The Japanese bikes at this price point depreciate faster than the Harleys do. Harley loses 8 to 12% in year one on popular models, which is the lowest of any major brand in America. Some Japanese sport bikes drop 25 to 35% in that same first year. So the guy who switched saved money on repairs and gave some of it back on resale. Almost nobody runs that math before they trade. Which brings me to what I actually think is going on here, and you're free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments because I know you will. For about 40 years, the deal Harley offered was clear. You accept that it needs more attention than a Honda, and in exchange you get something with a soul that a Honda doesn't have. Riders knew that deal. They took it willingly. That 25% repair rate was never a secret, and people bought anyway, on purpose, for decades. Now I want to hear it from you, and be specific, because you all know more than any survey I can read out loud. If you switched, what did you switch from, and what did you switch to, and how many miles were on the old bike when you gave up? If you stayed, tell me why, and tell me what it's cost you to stay. And for everybody who counted their unscheduled repairs earlier, drop that number because I want to see whether 1 in 4 is real in this comment section. I read all of them. If this was worth your time, subscribe, because next we're getting into what's actually happening to motorcycles that go missing in America right now and how fast it's happening.